Guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
We always pay attention to what's popular because it's, popular. But the vast majority of stuff out there is not popular. It's underground. It's obscure. Over 5 billion videos are watched on YouTube every day, but the vast majority of those are watched by hardly anyone. Obscurity. And the vast majority of videos, this one included, will never be seen by almost everyone. By the way, you should feel very special knowing that now. But every once in a while, something released to the public stays in obscurity for a long time, but then later, sometimes much later, becomes popular. Today, Edgar Allan Poe is one of the most beloved writers of all time, credited with basically inventing detective fiction and popularizing the short story. Yet, when he was alive, he was not famous at all, at least not for his own writings. He was known as a literary critic, but struggled to get his own work published. Although he was the first known American to actually make a, quote, living through writing alone, he lived most of his life in poverty. He went door to door trying to sell his poems in order to feed his family. But when Poe was alive, few people gave a crap about his original works, despite the fact that Poe tried desperately to make his stuff more accessible to the masses. That's right, he tried to sell out, but still, no one cared. Flash forward to 2009, when one of the copies of his first books, Tamerlane and Other Poems, sold for a record price of $662,500. I guess we are ready for that. But people weren't ready for that back then. Somewhat similar to the story of Poe is the story of Johann Sebastian Bach. Today, he is one of the most famous composers of all time. When he was alive, however, he was known as a very talented organist who is known regionally but not throughout the world, or even Europe for that matter. But his real passion was composing original music, which nobody seemed to care about. Less than 10% of his compositions were published when he was alive. Yet, 79 years after Bach died, another German composer named Felix Mendelssohn helped popularize some of Bach's old compositions. After that, there was no turning back. Today, when music dorks think of the Baroque period, Bach is usually the first composer who comes to mind. And it's not just Poe and Bach. Other people who were not that famous and appreciated when they were alive, but became household names long after they died, include Emily Dickinson, Galileo, and Vincent van Gogh, who struggled to sell his paintings when he was alive. In 1990, this painting, called Portrait of Dr. Gachet, sold for $82.5 million, or around $155 million today adjusted for inflation. Now, these paintings would not be sold for millions of dollars, at least not today. These are some paintings by former American President George W. Bush. Imagine Bush being famous in 500 years for his paintings, not for being a president. So why does this happen? Why are some people not appreciated in their lifetime, yet are greatly appreciated long after their death? One simple explanation is that people's tastes change. When Bob Marley and the Wailers released their song Turn Your Lights Down Low in 1977, few people cared. In 1999, with the help of Lauryn Hill, it became a hit and was nominated for a Grammy. Other factors include how things are promoted. For example, something will stay obscure if there is no money to promote it to the masses. The duo known as Capital Cities recorded their song Safe and Sound in 2010 and released it in early 2011. But it wasn't until 2013 that the song became a worldwide hit after lots of money and marketing went into promoting it. So often, we are not ready for that unless we've been told we're ready for that. Sure, this YouTube channel, currently sitting at about 1,400 subscribers, is lost in the obscurity of the internet. But imagine how ridiculous it would be if one day, long after I die, it randomly gets tens of millions of subscribers, because maybe you're just not ready for this. So, who or what is underappreciated today but will be remembered in 500 years? What are other examples of things or people who were underappreciated when they were alive but we remember them today? There are a lot. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. And there's 2 other videos I made on the screen you might like. Check them out if you want.